The tension had been building for months, whispers and battle rap circles. Online jabs that felt a little too personal and silent glances that told stories without saying a word. Eazy, the block captain, was always known for his aggressive energy and no-nonsense attitude, but what was bubbling beneath the surface now was different. This wasn't about rap anymore. It was personal. And everybody in the industry could feel it. It all started back when Remy Ma and Eazy began spending more time together, initially under the pretense of business. She believed in his talent. She had a vision, and she saw Eazy as a major part of it. But as the bond grew tighter, so did the rumors. Some said they were too close. Some claimed they had been spotted alone together at odd hours. Others believed nothing was going on and that people were just trying to tear down a successful black woman. But there was one man who wasn't buying the professional explanation: Remy's longtime partner, Papoose. Papoose had been patient. Too patient, some might say. He had supported Remy through everything: her prison sentence, her comeback, her career moves. He stood beside her when the industry moved on and stayed when others bailed. But loyalty has its limits, and even the most composed men have breaking points. The energy between Papoose and Eazy had shifted ever since an incident backstage at a rap event in New York. No words were exchanged. But the way Papoose stared at Eazy like a man who knew too much set the tone for what was coming. Behind closed doors, Remy was caught in the middle. She denied everything, of course. To her, it was all just noise. She claimed she and Eazy were focused on building Chrome 23 and changing the face of female battle rap. But what she didn't admit, or maybe didn't fully realize, was how emotionally involved she had become. Eazy was charismatic, driven, and hungry, the same qualities that once drew her to Papoose. And even though she tried to suppress it, the connection was growing stronger. Then came the now infamous Instagram Live that Eazy did one late Friday night. Fans thought it would just be another freestyle session or Q&A, but somewhere during the session, someone in the comments dropped a bomb. Tell the truth, Remy ain't just your business partner. Eazy didn't say much, but he smirked. Smirk lit the match. The video went viral, blogs ran with it, and speculation turned into full-blown belief. Within hours, Papoose's name was trending. The disrespect was blatant, and it was getting out of hand. A week later, tensions erupted. Behind the scenes at a Chrome 23 promo shoot, Papoose had shown up unannounced, and according to witnesses, he wasn't there for small talk. The energy in the room shifted the moment he walked in. Eazy was mid-conversation with Remy when Pap pulled her to the side. Whatever was said between them was quiet but intense. Eazy stood off to the side, arms crossed, jaw clenched, watching. Then, as Pap turned to walk out, Eazy muttered something under his breath, too low for anyone else to catch, but loud enough for Pap to hear. Papoose turned around and walked right up to Eazy. The two men stood inches apart, and Remy had to physically step between them. Voices were raised, hands moved, but the situation was diffused for the moment. Word spread fast. People in the industry knew this wasn't going to end with just words. Too much pride, too much history, too much emotion. This was deeper than rap now. What made matters worse was the disrespect Eazy started throwing into his bars. At a surprise battle event in Philly, Eazy dropped a freestyle that had the whole crowd stunned. No names were mentioned, but the lines were clear. He spoke about old kings losing their queens and being a better man behind the scenes.
Oh.
The crowd went wild, but those who knew the backstory felt the punch. It was personal. Fans cheered, but insiders cringed. Eazy wasn't. Just poking the bear, he was slapping it in the face, and then came the phone footage. Grainy, shaky, but unmistakably real. It showed Eazy walking out of a private club, shirt halfway unbuttoned. Followed minutes later by Remy Ma. They weren't holding hands, but their body language was telling. She was smiling. He was relaxed. And just like that, the internet went into a frenzy. The blogs couldn't get enough. Everyone was picking sides Team Pap or Team Eazy. Papoose had been quiet through it all. No tweets, no interviews, no clapbacks, just silence. But silence can be deadly, especially from a man who feels like he's losing everything. Pap had been in this game long enough to know how the industry works, how loyalty gets sold for fame, how love gets replaced with lust, how respect turns into mockery. He wasn't just watching his marriage unravel. He was watching it happen publicly on every timeline and every blog post. By now, both men were on edge. One wrong word, one wrong move, and the whole thing would explode. And it finally did outside. A low-key lounge in Brooklyn that was hosting a private industry gathering. Remy was inside networking. Eazy pulled up late, parked a few blocks away to avoid attention. Pap had been tipped off earlier that day that both of them would be there. He didn't say much, just nodded and said, "I'll be there too." Outside the venue, the energy was thick. Pap was leaning against a black SUV, arms folded, hoodie up, face stone cold. Eazy walked up the sidewalk, alone, head down, focused. Their eyes met from a distance. Neither of them blinked. Neither of them slowed down. What happened next would leave the hip-hop world shaken, bloodied, and forever changed. And this was just the beginning. The air outside the Brooklyn lounge was thick with anticipation. The city noise faded into the background as two men stood locked in a silent stare that said everything words couldn't. Pap didn't move. Eazy didn't flinch. It was like time had frozen, just for them. The tension that had been building for months was about to erupt on a cold concrete sidewalk beneath flickering streetlights and the distant bass of a DJ, spinning tracks no one would remember after tonight. Eazy walked forward slowly, his steps measured, his eyes never leaving. Papoose, he wasn't smiling now. The cocky smirks and confident swagger he carried online were gone. In their place was a man with too much to prove and too little patience. Papoose pushed off the SUV, his body language unreadable, but the stiffness in his shoulders said enough. This wasn't going to be a conversation. Not this time. "You think this is funny?" Pap said, his voice low but steady. Eazy didn't answer at first. He just tilted his head like he was sizing up an opponent, not his mentor's husband. "I think what's funny," Eazy finally replied, "is how you let your girl walk away without even realizing it." That was it. The match that lit the powder keg. Papoose stepped forward, and before another word could leave Eazy's mouth, Pap swung a clean right hook, fast and sharp. It connected with Eazy's jaw, and his head jerked back. But he didn't fall. He stumbled, gritted his teeth, and charged forward like a bull. What followed was chaos. The two men collided, fists flying in a flurry of rage and betrayal. Eazy tackled Pap into the SUV with a loud metallic thud, denting the passenger door. Papoose swung wildly, connecting with Eazy's temple, but Eazy retaliated with a brutal jab to Pap's ribs. The sound of knuckles hitting flesh echoed into the night. Across the street, two fans recognized them and started recording. One of them gasped, whispering, "Yo, that's Eazy and Pap." They scrapping for real? Back at the venue, the commotion had reached the front door. Remy Ma came out with a confused look on her face, adjusting her coat and scanning the crowd. She heard the yelling, the grunts, the metal creaks of the SUV being used like a cage in a no-rules brawl. Then she saw them, her man and her artist, locked in a fight that looked like it came straight out of a prison yard. "Pap, Eazy, stop!" She screamed, rushing toward them, but they didn't stop. If anything, her voice only added fuel to the fire. Eazy shoved Pap against the SUV again and landed a punch right under his eye, splitting the skin open. Blood started trickling down Pap's cheek. Eazy's breathing was heavy, nostrils flared, his knuckles already bruised. Pap wiped the blood from his face and spit on the ground. "You think you can take my life, my woman, and just walk away like a king? You a clown, Eazy, you just a moment." Eazy's eyes flared. Then why am I the one she calling every night? That line shattered every barrier. Papoose launched himself at Eazy with a fury that couldn't be stopped. Crashed onto the sidewalk, rolling, punching, grappling. Eazy managed to get on top and landed 2 solid blows to Pap's face. Blood sprayed across the pavement. Screams erupted from the small crowd that had now gathered. Security finally rushed out of the venue, yanking Eazy off of Papoose. One of the guards pinned him against the wall while the others tried to help Pap up. Remy was in the middle, screaming, pushing people, trying to get to Pap, but being held back by 2 staff members. Her eyes were wild with panic. Her voice cracked as she screamed his name over and over. Pap was groaning, blood dripping from his nose and lip, one eye already starting to swell shut. But even through the pain, he was still staring at Eazy with the same fire in his eyes. Eazy, he looked at her for a long moment, eyes filled with hurt more than rage now. And then, like a dagger, he said, "I should have known you picked your side the moment you signed him." Remy froze, her lips parted, but no words came out. Pap gently pushed her hand away, straightened himself as best he could, and started walking down the block, one hand on his ribs, the other wiping blood from his face. Eazy was still being held back, but his voice carried. "You better walk away, Pap, 'cause next time it won't just be fists." One of the security guards turned to Eazy. "Man, you need to shut up before the cops get here, and it's both y'all in cuffs." But Eazy didn't care. He'd already crossed the line there was no coming back from. Shirt was torn, lip bleeding, but in his mind, this was the fight he needed. It's the one where everything came out. The jealousy, the disrespect, the hidden war for Remy's loyalty. It was all in the open now. By the time police arrived, the crowd had mostly scattered. The only thing left was the blood on the sidewalk, a shattered ego, and a woman stuck between 2 men who represented 2 versions of her life: the past that built her and the present that fueled her. Ambition. Remy refused to speak to the cops. She didn't want this to go on record, but other witnesses had already posted videos online. One clip showed Pap's face bloodied. Another had clear audio of Eazy yelling, "You lost her, homie. She with me now." Within hours, the videos had hit every blog, every Twitter feed, every YouTube channel that covered hip-hop drama. Fans were stunned. Some blamed Eazy, calling him reckless and disloyal. Others defended him, saying Pap had been holding on to a woman who had clearly moved on emotionally. Few even criticized Remy, asking how she let things get this messy in the first place. But none of that mattered now. The damage was done. Papoose had walked away broken physically and emotionally. Eazy had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And Remy stood at the center of a war that didn't just tear apart her personal life, divided an entire culture. And as the night grew darker and the city moved on, one thing was certain. This wasn't the end, it was the calm before a new kind of storm. The morning after the fight felt like an earthquake had hit the hip-hop community. Blood had dried on the Brooklyn sidewalk, but online, the drama was just beginning. Social media was on fire. Clips of the brawl between Eazy the block captain and Papoose were circulating faster than anyone could control. Twitter threads were dissecting every punch, every scream from Remy Ma, every disrespectful word Eazy shouted. The footage was brutal, raw, and more importantly, was real. Every major hip-hop blog had it front and center. Headlines like "Battle Rap Beef," "Turns Bloody Outside," "NYC Club," and "Eazy, the block goes too far." Papoose left bleeding dominated the feeds. YouTubers went live, breaking down the altercation frame by frame like it was a battle round. Even mainstream outlets who rarely dipped into the battle rap world began covering the story. Eazy wasn't just a rapper anymore. Overnight, he had become infamous. Remy Ma stayed silent. She didn't post anything, didn't tweet, didn't issue a statement. Her team tried to do damage control behind the scenes, but nothing could stop the tidal wave of public opinion. People were asking questions she wasn't ready to answer. Was she cheating on Papoose? Was her relationship with Eazy more than business? Why was she even present during a violent altercation like that? Inside her home, Remy was spiraling. She hadn't slept. Her phone hadn't stopped vibrating. Messages from friends, industry insiders, family, everyone had an opinion. Some begged her to release a statement. Others told her to cut both men off. Get a few, the real ones, just asked if she was okay. But she wasn't. Not even close. Papoose, meanwhile, had retreated. He didn't go online. He didn't talk to the press. After receiving treatment for a busted lip, a fractured nose, and some bruised ribs, he disappeared from the public eye. Rumors swirled that he was staying with his cousin in Jersey, avoiding cameras and trying to process how years of loyalty had unraveled in a single night. Eazy, however, was acting like nothing had changed. He posted a selfie the next day shirtless. Bruised knuckles visible, captioned, "Been through worse." Still the realist. Fans flooded his comments, applauded his boldness. Others called him a clown, a homewrecker, a snake. But Eazy didn't care. He had long ago decided that loyalty was for suckers in a game where everyone plays dirty. In his eyes, Pap was old news, and Remy had already chosen her future. But what Eazy didn't expect was the industry backlash. Suddenly, certain podcast hosts who once praised his come-up started changing their tone. A few Chrome 23 sponsors began quietly pulling away from future events. Battle leagues started rethinking bookings. Not because they didn't respect his talent, but because his name now carried controversy, and not the kind that sells tickets. It was messy, was emotional, and it involved Remy Ma, someone with deep connections across the board. In private group chats, other battle rappers debated whether they could even work with Eazy again. Some felt betrayed. Others respected the fact that he didn't back down. But no one could ignore how bad the optics were. He had fought a legend's husband, on camera, with the legend right there. This wasn't just rap beef. This was real life, spilled out on concrete. Then, things got worse. A second video surfaced, this one from inside the club. It showed Remy and Eazy in a private booth earlier that same night. There wasn't anything explicitly intimate, but the body language was undeniable. She was laughing at his jokes, leaning in close, her hand brushing his arm. It wasn't the behavior of a woman trying to keep boundaries. It was the behavior of someone who had already crossed them. Fans went wild. Twitter was a war zone. One side dragged Remy for disrespecting her marriage. The other side defended her, claiming that Pap probably pushed her away long before Eazy came into the picture. Women were divided, men were divided, even longtime supporters of Remy Ma were starting to question what really went on behind closed doors, and through it all, Remy said nothing. Behind the scenes, her world was collapsing. Pap had blocked her number. Chrome 23 meetings were awkward and tense. Eazy still showed up like nothing was wrong, but she could barely look him in the eye. What had started as chemistry and shared ambition had turned into destruction. She didn't know if she had lost her husband for good. She didn't know if she even wanted to be around Eazy anymore. And most of all, she didn't know how to fix the image she had worked so hard to build. Finally, on the fourth day after the fight, Remy broke her silence. She went live on Instagram. No glam, no filter. Just a black hoodie, tired eyes, and a voice that cracked under the weight of everything. "I know y'all seen what happened," she began. "I've been silent because I've been trying to figure out what the hell I even say." Thousands tuned in instantly. The chat exploded. Comments flew across the screen. "I ain't perfect," she continued. "But what happened outside that club was not how I wanted things to go down. And I won't sit here and act like I didn't play a part in it." She paused, looking down. "Me and Pap, we've been through a lot. We've had ups and downs like anybody else. I love that man, always have. But things been rocky for a minute. And I guess ... I guess I let myself get too close to somebody else when I should have been trying to fix my home. The chat slowed. Viewers were stunned. She was admitting it without saying the full truth. She was acknowledging what the world already knew. As for Eazy, I believed in his talent. I still do. But maybe I should have kept more distance. Maybe I let the lines blur. That's on me. She ended the live after only 7 minutes. No Q&A, no fake apologies, just raw vulnerability. It didn't fix everything, but it shifted the tone. People began to understand how messy things had really gotten. And more importantly, how much. Pain was underneath all the ego and aggression. Papoose never responded publicly. But insiders close to him said he'd watched the live and walked out the room without saying a word. As for Eazy, he posted nothing. For once, he stayed quiet in. The weeks that followed, Remy laid low. Chrome 23 put out a statement promising to remain focused on uplifting female battle rap. Eazy took a break from battling, citing personal reasons. Pap slowly re-emerged, dropping a freestyle that touched on betrayal, legacy, and resilience. Though he never mentioned names, the world moved on, but something had changed forever. A line had been crossed, a chapter had closed. And no matter how much healing came later, the scars would remain. Eazy, the block captain's name, was etched in battle rap history now, not just for his bars, but for the night he let his emotions turn into violence, the fight that left Papoose bloodied and broken, and for the triangle that shattered the image of one of hip-hop's most respected couples, Remy. Ma had tried to build something new, but in the process, she nearly lost everything. And in the end, that's the price of playing with fire in a game. We're loyal. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't hold back. Whose side are you in and why? Make sure you like this video if you want more deep dives like this. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for exclusive updates, raw truths, and every twist as this story continues to unfold. Turn on that bell so you never miss a moment. This isn't just gossip. It's a cultural shift in real time. Join the conversation. Join the movement. And keep it locked right here, where the real stories live. This is Stardom Empire, where drama meets truth.